Hello, everybody. Aaron Harrison here with another episode in the Brave Enough to Fail series. I have a great guest for you guys today. This gentleman played 9 years in the NFL. 9 years. The lifespan in the NFL today is 5 years. So he definitely outlived the average NFL player. This gentleman was one of the smallest in size, but biggest in heart. And he'll tell you his story. His story is one of incredible feat, and he did it. He did it not only for himself, but he did it for his family. And as you'll hear in his story, he did it at a young age. He decided that he was going to be the difference maker in his family. So with no further ado, here's JJ Burton. All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Brave Enough to Fail series. I'm super excited to bring a special guest to you today. And before we get into JJ, I just want to thank you for being part of the Brave Enough to Fail series, because really this program is geared towards how do you deal with adversity? How do you deal with failure, which is a priority if you want to be successful? And this series is really intended to bring people to the table that have found a way to conquer adversity, but more importantly, be able to leverage the failure and being able to be successful. So I bring to you guys today a good friend of mine, JJ Burton, who has an incredible background. I mean, this man is the epitome of beating adversity and really taking it to the next level. So welcome, JJ, to the call, man.
What's up, Aaron? It's good to see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, brother. You're welcome. So let's start at the beginning. Right. I mean, you have an incredible story, and I want the people that are watching this to really understand where did you come from, man? Like, tell me about the beginning as a child. Where did you come from, man?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Northeast Portland, Oregon, what I would call the hood. Just tough area. Raised by a single parent mom. She dropped out of high school when she was a junior and just worked really hard to take care of my older brother and my younger sister, and wasn't a dad around, but we just did our best. And for me, I tell you, Aaron, it was just I made a decision early in my life. I just wanted something better. I mean, we struggled growing up. My mom worked hard, but we struggled growing up. And at a very young age, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just said, I'm going to break the cycle. I want something more. And that was kind of like the foundation that was established to really get me moving in the direction I wanted to go in.
Wow. And I don't know anything about Oregon. So is it country? Is it city? Like, where did you grow up, man? Like, what was that town like?
Yeah, so I was born, so Northeast Portland is kind of where it's more of a I'd say more of an African American community, more Northeast. That was they called the hood so far. But what happened for me, I was going to school there and up to sixth grade, and I wasn't doing great in school. I was that kid that wasn't focusing, getting in trouble. I used to get C's, and I thought I was doing great. And my mom was like, we need to do something." And there was this program that was happening in a city called Lake Oswego. It was an affluent town, the suburbs. The wealthy lived out there, and they had a busing program where they were busing African Americans from the inner city
Wow.
to Lake Oswego, and they were about to cut the program. And my mom heard, and my mom like, "I'm transferring you guys out there because you guys got to do something different." And Aaron, it was interesting because I thought it was the worst decision my mom could ever make. Because
Really?
I went from being in a class that was three-fourths blacks, and all of a sudden I walk into River Grove, sixth grade, and I'm the only black in there. But here's the deal, though. And as I shared earlier, you know, I'm an achiever. How can I get better? I'm always looking for opportunities. And when I went in there day one, instead of thinking like I'm different, I was like, hey, they
Mm-hmm.
got what I want. I want what
Mm-hmm.
they have. And that really motivated me to be better academically, to take advantage of the athletic opportunities that came. And it was the best decision my mom made because it really made me step up my game in so many different ways.
Wow. And that's what it takes sometimes, right? It's like shake that snow globe. We talk about it, put ourselves in uncertainty and make the best out of it. And you did. That's awesome. And so you stayed there till middle school?
I stayed there from 6th grade to 12th grade. So I graduated from the high school. But here's what's interesting is like, so I didn't do any sports because, you know, if you play sports, the school bus is not hanging out for 2 hours to wait for you. So you would have to walk 30 minutes down the street to the city bus, take it downtown Portland, transfer to get home. And you get home about 8:30. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. You know, to me, it wasn't important enough until 10th grade when I first heard that if you're good enough, you could get a free scholarship to college. I was like, what? Free?
Money, let's go.
Free? I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I don't care how far it is to walk that bus, to walk to the bus stop. I started doing from 10th grade. I started playing football and start running track because I felt like perhaps athletics could be the avenue I could take to get me where I wanted to go.
Wow. So that's beautiful because it really leads us into that first question. Christian asked, when did you start loving what you do? Because it sounds like at that part you started seeing an opportunity.
Yeah, that's what it was. Because originally, like I said, the why was, okay, I want something better. I want to break the cycle, but I didn't know how yet. And once I figured out how, and I realized that athletically I was gifted, but I thought, man, let's back some hard work behind these talents and see where I could take it. And when I realized that about my junior year, when I realized that, okay, I'm pretty good at this, that's when I really started loving it because the hard work was paying off. I could see I had some superiority athletically, and then I just loved it.
Wow. Now, during that time, was it track or was it football? Or was it both? Like, which one had the biggest part of your heart?
Track. It was definitely track. I mean, I did them both, but track was really my first love. Just the obsession of being able to run fast and jump. I was a hurdler and a jumper, and I loved it. And my goal was really all track. It wasn't football. Football was kind of just something else I did to complement track. So I had something to do in the fall.
That's so funny because, you know, Rashamel Jones, who we interviewed last, he said that baseball was his main sport and that basketball was kind of the thing that he just did in the park. So that's awesome, JJ, that, you know, you just never know, but you found the love for track and obviously that paid off huge dividends. During that time, like what were some of your major setbacks?
Well, the major setback I experienced really was just the fact that I was a small little player. I was very small in size and weight. And no matter how great I did as a wide receiver, everyone saw me as you're too small. Don't even think about playing in college. Even my senior year when I was all-state wide receiver, I had like 14 touchdowns. I had these great stats, but I was 5'9", 133 pounds. And so no Division I school recruited me in football. And for me, I just took it as a personal insult because I felt I was a Division I athlete. And so that was probably the biggest setback, that the lack of belief in my potential as a college athlete. And so when I experience any kind of doubt like that, then it just motivates me to prove them wrong and work even harder.
And I'm wondering, Rachel was the student that asked that question. I'm wondering if she's feeling in her life that sometimes the setbacks outweigh the benefit, right? And so what was it for you in regards to the thought process or maybe the story you were telling yourself to keep moving forward so that the setback was just setting you up for greater success?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. One is that I had the mentality that nobody was going to outwork me. So I'm going to put in the work. So I always wanted to be that person who was, you know, that saying that says that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work. Yep. I wanted to be the other guy. What happens when talent puts in the work? So that was the one thing. And the second thing was always having very supportive, encouraging mentors, coaches, and teachers around me, because there were parts of my time there in high school where I lacked some belief. You know, I lacked a little belief. And I can remember my uncle, I call him Mr. Uncle Sonny, my senior year in high school, I had this game. I had like 4 touchdowns in the first half. It was a crazy game. And after the game, he said, "Nephew, you're going to play in the NFL someday."
Huh.
And I thought my uncle was crazy. I'm like, what is he drinking? I ain't playing no NFL. I was like, no, and I ain't playing the NFL. No, uncle. He goes, no, you're gonna play. I go, no, uncle, I'm too small and I don't want. He goes, no. He goes, I believe in you so much. Promise me your first NFL touchdown. And I'm like, no. He said, just say it. And I'm like, whatever, you can have it. So I said it. And you fast forward to, I think it was October 19th, 1990. I scored my first touchdown. We're playing against the Seahawks. And here's the point I'm trying to get to. Once the game was over, I asked my uncle, I said, how did you know I would play in the NFL? And he said, nephew, I knew you had the ability, but you didn't believe in yourself. So I needed to pour belief into you until you got your own personal belief to take you the rest of the way. And I say that because I've always had mentors along the way pouring belief into me. And that's one of the things I always encourage others too, because sometimes we need to borrow other people's belief in ourselves until we get our own where it needs to be.
Amen. And I love that because, life is hard enough. And if you try to do it by yourself, it just too much noise, right? But if you have louder noise around you, encouraging you, believing in you, foreseeing the future for you, it just may plant that seed that is needed to keep you moving. And so as you were seeing this now, right, your uncle was like, you're going to play in the NFL. What was your dream NFL team? Because you said, hey, if I'm going to play in the NFL, what team I want to play for?
I didn't have one.
Okay.
Because I didn't think I was going to play in the NFL. I was trying to get to the Olympics,
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm the kid, you look at my career, 9 years, but I'm that guy who I wasn't thinking about the NFL. I wasn't groomed to play in it. I didn't even want to play in the NFL. So it was the furthest thing from my mind. And we may get to that, but my dream was the Olympics. I was a long jumper and that was the dream, really.
Wow. Well, you know what? It's great because I like that idea because Kenya asked, did you have any other dreams that you wanted to pursue and what were they? So let's talk about that for a minute because, you had your heart set on track. And so what was your vision in regards to track?
So when I went to Oregon, I went to the University of Oregon and they gave me a full ride track scholarship. And in the back of my mind, I always had this thought, I want to walk on in football just to see if I could do it, to prove everybody wrong. So, but in spite of that, it was track because I was a world-class long jumper and, I had jumped 26 plus. So I qualified for the Olympic trials my senior year at Oregon. So that was the vision. That was the plan. I was playing football too, but I just wanted to finish football, but it was really about, can I make the Olympic team?
Wow. And you know what? That right there is, I think, is it more rare for someone to make the Olympics than it is the NFL team?
Ooh, that's a great question. Man, it has to be because they're only taking 3 long jumpers in the US, out of the millions that are long jumping. So it's very, very rare. And everything has to go perfectly, meaning that you have the Olympic trials and you just got to hit the right jump at the right time. So there's a lot of things that have to happen perfectly.
Right. Never thought of that. And then as you mentioned that, I'm like, wow, like you really set your bar high. You were like, I'm not just going to stay competing in the US. I'm going to go global. And so Zoe asked, now what was your favorite team? So she talked about it as far as being a team, but let's look at Oregon, right? Oregon was the only college, right, that allowed you to play both sports, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because now here you are, track star, and you're saying, hey, I want to play ball, which we know playing football, that can ruin your track career.
Yeah, it really can. But I think that's one of the things, as you talked about earlier, we talked about being an underdog, which I've always been an underdog where people overlook you. They count you out. They don't believe in you. And one thing I learned early on is that, people might see me as an underdog, but I didn't really believe I was an underdog. But I had the work ethic like an underdog, and I would put in that work. And so when I got to Oregon, I just thought, well, if I want to prove that I can play football, I have to create the opportunity. Right. So I literally, Aaron, begged the head football coach my sophomore year to let me walk on. And it was really just to see if I could make it. I wasn't,
give me a shot, coach. That's it.
That's it. Begged him. And he was like, okay, you can walk on, come to fall camp. And you understand walk-ons. When you're walking on, you're not really going to get a chance. You probably will never play. But my mindset, and you probably know, is that it was like, how fast can I move up the depth chart? How fast can I prove you wrong? Because the very first day I walked into fall camp, I remember they had 13 wide receivers and I was number 12.
Oh,
yeah, I was number 12. But again, and this is the message, is that sometimes we're in situations and we think, oh, they're not going to give us a fair shot. They don't believe in me. I'm going to waste my time. I was like, dude, how fast can I get up the depth chart? Because I knew I was going to put in the work and I knew what I was capable of. And 2 weeks later, I was second string backing up, the starters. And at that point, I was content because I was having a great track career. I won Pac-12s my junior year. I qualified for nationals. I qualified for Olympic trials my senior year. So everything was set up perfectly.
So you were an outlier, man.
Yeah.
Everything lined up perfectly. And I think that is so important because not only did things line up, but you were ready for it. Like you continued to prepare yourself with fuel and belief until that opportunity came, and you declared it. You said, listen, I'm going to go walk on this team. I'm going to make the team and I'm going to beat everybody out because I believe that I have the talent and I have the work ethic that basically can earn that spot. And that's so beautiful, man, because I think for you, and I know when I first met you, there was a glow about you, man. Like you walked not in a place of look at me, but look at me, right? As an example of what's possible. And that leads into this next question, because now here you are going into the NFL. Let's talk about it, right? It's now your senior year. Now you have the, I don't know, tell me, like, because you were going to the Olympics. So how did that transition happen? Because now, did it become all about football? Did track kind of run out of gas? Like, where was that fork in the road, man?
Great question. So let me take you to my senior track season. So my senior year, my football career is done. Somehow I get invited to the NFL Combine. And dude, I don't even know what the Combine is. I mean, this is how far removed my head was. And the NFL Combine, the top 300 plus NFL prospects. And dude, I had like one touchdown at Oregon in 4 years. I only had 19 catches in my senior year. So I'm trying to figure out, why are these NFL scouts asking me to come to the NFL Combine? But they saw something, and I thought, well, even though I don't want to play, Aaron, I don't want to later on in life regret that I didn't at least go check it out. And that's what I did. I went to the NFL Combine. I test well. I was this mystery track. I was this mystery track guy who could catch the ball.
Right.
Yeah. I was 5'10", 157 pounds.
Wow.
So once I finished the combine, it was like, I just wanted to experience it. And it was the focus on track. And I started my season. I was having a great season. Like I said, I qualified for the 1980 Olympic trials. And then all of a sudden the NFL draft comes around. The second day, I get a call from the Cleveland Browns, 8th round, 216 pick. And I didn't even, when the head coach called me, head coach Marty Schottenheimer, I thought it was a joke. Like, who is this? So again, it's that curiosity piece. And I thought, well, they drafted me. They have a rookie camp next week. Let's go to the rookie camp just to see what it's like. Come back, go to Pac-10s, graduate, go to national, see if I can make the Olympic team. And that was the plan. But if we're ready to talk about setbacks and adversity, the biggest one I faced was going to the Cleveland Browns rookie camp, third practice, and tearing up my ACL ligament. So when you talk about the first major bout of an adversity or a challenge or a setback athletic, that was it.
Dang.
And that was life-changing right there.
So tell us about it.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Like what was going on in your life right there?
Yeah, it was devastating because I had never experienced that. Because as an athlete, you have this almost this Superman mentality, knowing that if you put in the work and you do it right, everything's going to work out. And all of a sudden, a route that I've ran 1,000 times, my knee gives out. And right away, all I'm thinking is my track season is over. The
Right,
dream is over. There's
right.
That's all I could think about. And I remember sitting in the treatment center crying. First time ever I ever cried related to athletics. And I was sitting in the treatment center crying. And Dr. Bergfeld, who performed my ACL surgery, he comes over and I said, Doc, can I get my speed back? And Dr. Bergfeld said the right thing at the right time. He says, JJ, not only could you get your speed back, if you work hard, you could even come back faster.
Boom.
That was the right thing to say to me
That's
because
right.
that became the next goal.
You planted that seed. Man,
Yeah,
and I know about that, because that's what ended my career was an ACL. And
really.
there's a lot of mental games that you have to figure out, right? Because again, you're a runner and your wheel is flat. Like you got to figure out, how do I get back? So who was around you during that time that supported
Yeah,
you?
it was a variety of people. I had like a support system from my high school coach, my college coaches, my wife, my coaches there. I had just a support system because I needed to get my mindset in the right frame of mind because I was about to take on a challenge I had not dealt with. ACL, that's like a year and a half full recovery.
Right.
But
Back to elite status.
yes,
You got to get
yeah,
back on that field because you want
yeah.
to play. Because you're only, what you said, 3 days in?
Yeah, third practice,
Oh my gosh.
But the thing is that just being there and having a couple practices and watching, because I sat on injured reserve that year, there was a mind shift that took place. I went from not believing I could be in the NFL to like, I can do this.
Right.
I'm watching these guys and comparing myself. It's like, I can do this. I just need to get healthy. I need to correct some weaknesses and I need to get another shot. And so it just mentally shifted me because one thing I try to teach people that in times of, I call it FASCOs, moments, failures, adversities, setbacks, challenges, obstacles. It's
Mm-hmm.
great mentoring moments. If we ask three simple questions, why did this happen? What can I learn from it? And how can I turn this into an opportunity? And that, as you know, is a growth mindset. And that's how I approached it. And it put me on the path to where I needed to go.
Wow. Because that's just how life is. You're going to get opportunities to see how strong you are in those moments and what strategies you have. And, we talk about that, especially with this group of youth, is what do you have in place right now when the earth or the world starts crumbling down? When you're dealing with some of the most difficult times, whether it be family, whether it be friends, whether it be school, your own attention span and being able to focus when you need to focus, or athletics, right? Maybe, there's a student watching this that wants to pursue the highest level of athleticism, which would be a professional team. And so take us through this, right? So how long did it take you to go through rehab?
Yeah, it took me, well, it really took me about a year and a half. I mean, a year later, I was back practicing in the off season with Cleveland Browns, but I wasn't 100%. And but you continue to work and continue to rehab, you continue to practice. And I went through camp, and Aaron, I was about 80%. And they were like, hey, just go through camp. We know you're not 100%, and you're just learning and growing and getting thrown around, and you're just trying to figure it out. And they cut me. They cut me at the end of that camp.
Mm.
But I knew that I knew I could play, but it was just, I got to get 100%. And I went through this period where I got picked up by Dallas, and then I was on their practice squad all year, and I was just getting better and better. But Dallas didn't think I could play. At the end of the year, they decided they weren't going to sign me. And head coach Jimmy Johnson said, kid, I don't think you can do this. You might want to go do something else. So even though he was, negative in my mind,
Right.
I just like, I know I can do this. I
Yep.
just got to be 100%. And that's what I kept focusing on, was that not what everybody was saying, is what I knew I was capable of once I corrected some weaknesses and then got in the right situation.
So do you think that that asset that you had, was that learned or was that innate? Like, was it something that you adopted because of the way it made you feel from an outside source, or was it something that's always been a burning desire in yours? Because, I want this to be able to translate to everyone, even if they feel like they don't feel as strong as you did at the time when you were going through the worst time of your life.
I think it was a combination. I think one, innate, because I've always been the little guy. Just in grade school, I was always the smallest, always the smallest.
Chicken
So
Little,
just,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, just constantly having people tell you can't do something. It started in kindergarten. So I think it was innate because I was always kind of like battling to prove people wrong. But then also, too, as I got older and the challenges got bigger, I also recognized that if I put in the work, if I was willing to put in the work, if I didn't blame people and make up excuses, oh, my mom, she dropped out of high school and always struggled growing up. I didn't have a dad around. No. It was like, what can I control? I control my effort, my attitude, and my commitment. And so it just got stronger and stronger, that I think by the time I got to the NFL, we're talking, this is the highest level. This is
Right.
the best of the best.
Right.
That I had built this reservoir of just perseverance and resilience and determination and grit, that by the time I got there, I was ready to maximize the biggest opportunity I had, which I think was key to me playing 9 years at that level.
Wow. So you make it, you come back, you're strong as an ox. Whose team did you go to? What was your first full season?
Kansas City,
Kansas City.
1990. And it was, and I actually got cut. So I went through camp, turned camp out, just rolling 4.33. I mean, I had a great camp, but the business side kicked in. They had a receiver they drafted. I outplayed him. He has to make the team. So they cut me for 2 weeks. And then the third week, they brought me back. First game I play, I score a touchdown, and like the rest is history after that.
Wow. Wow. So tell us, I mean, what is it like to be on that side now, where you're active, you're playing, you're producing, right? You're actually contributing. The fans are crazy. Like, give us a day in the life, man, of what it was like to be on that field at that time after you've been through so much fight to get to that point.
Yeah, it was very fulfilling just to make it, because I think about the long journey that I traveled, the many setbacks and challenges, and just that I just didn't quit. I always believed in myself, and the results were paying off. Now, I got the wake up call when I got to the NFL, was that everybody was a great athlete. So you recognize right away that everybody's a great athlete. So it's like, okay, you've got to step up your game. And the other part was, you realize it's a business. It's not like it was in high school. It's a business, and you have to really wrap your brain around that and understand this is your job. And there's a lot of pressure too, meaning that every day you have to treat it like every day is game day. There's no day off, because if you take a day off, there's a guy behind you ready to take your job. So you really learn to play under pressure and perform at your best. But I enjoyed it. It was a thrill. I mean, obviously you made good money. You had amazing opportunities, and it was just a world that not everyone gets the opportunity to be a part of. And as I gotten older, I appreciate it more now, because back then you're just in the grind. And I realize now, man, I did something pretty special. And I'll tell you this, Aaron, you might like this. Now being a professional speaker and researching and stuff, I learned that in the last 40 plus years, there has not been an NFL player who had a longer career than me that weighed under 160 pounds.
Go ahead. That's what I'm talking about.
Under 160 pounds. I mean, it's
wow.
So with that, I've
Yeah.
taken that and really tried to empower other people to help them understand it doesn't matter how big you are or what disadvantage you have. It's just a matter of you making up your mind and committing it to go after it. And that's one of the messages I love to share with people.
Wow. What a beautiful message that is, because not everybody knows the book of work that was required to make it there. They think that you were in the right place at the right time with the right people and everything worked out perfectly. And that really wasn't the case. It may have looked good on the surface, but inside, as that glacier picture, right? You know, you see the tip of the iceberg and then below you just see all of that stuff. What an amazing story. Thank you, JJ, for sharing that, because I didn't know the whole story. And now it just really, it really inspires me more, you know, to understand that there's so much more to us. And so one of the questions that was asked was, as now someone who's transitioned successfully from professional sports to business and entrepreneurship, what lessons from football have you applied to your post-playing career? And this was Guadalupe.
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's just so many lessons. I think there's a lot of crossover from being an athlete and now being a business professional. And, you know, I think for the most part, I think it's a combination of things. You think about the importance of mindset, what you think, how you think, when you think it matters. You know, as an athlete, you got to have your mind on point. You know, you got to have it right because your mindset is constantly being challenged in games. That's the same in business. We have our good days, we have our bad days. We deal with fear, we deal with self-limiting belief, but our ability to control how we think is key to our success. I think planning, you know, as an athlete, there's game plans. We have a goal, we have a game plan, there's structure. I've taken that into business to make sure that I always have a game plan, an action plan that I'm going to follow. And then I think too, just the mentality of being willing to do the work. It's just like, that's something you can't escape in life, school, business, family. I mean, if you want success, you want achievement, you gotta be willing to put in the work. And you gotta be willing to do the work when you don't feel like it. On those bad days, those uncomfortable moments, because that's what really makes you a champion. And that's how you create the habits of success that stay with you no matter what. And I just think as an athlete, there's so many success tips and winning strategies like that I've learned that I've just, you know, transferred right into being a business professional.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing because I know just hearing your story and also knowing my pains through sports, there is nothing that has come after that was harder than that physical, like I'm crippled, my knee doesn't work, you know, and everything hurts physically. And then you get into life and you're like, oh, well, you know, wasn't as bad as that time, right?
I know. Think about how many times we went through training camp. You know, unless somebody's been through training camp with pads and doubles, they don't understand. But you talk about being uncomfortable. Let's see, how do you say it? Getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. You know, It's like we didn't feel great, but we still pushed ourselves through the workouts, through the most difficult, challenging times. But I think, you know, moments like that, I think prepared us for some of the challenges we deal with life after the game.
Right. Absolutely. And here comes this next question, which I got excited about. Of course, Isagenix, right? Isagenix was how we met. And it makes sense, right? Because we got to take care of our bodies and we have to continue to create leverage. And so one young lady said, what inspired you to work with Isagenix? And this was Allison.
Oh, great question, Allison. I think, you know, as a combination of things, I think one is as a professional athlete, I think sometimes people think that athletes are financially set when their career is over. You know, there's a small number that is, but most of us, we need a transition. We need a plan B. And so I was always kind of in this entrepreneur spirit of how can I get involved in something that focuses on helping other people, because people helped me along my journey. It's like, how can I help someone else achieve a goal, but at the same time, obviously be able to pay my bills too. So,
Right.
but I looked at about 50 different health and wellness companies. I wanted health and wellness. I love to work out. I'm a health and wellness person, but I wanted to find something that I could really create a passive income, a leverage income. And Isagenix was the top company that kind of met the criteria I was looking for. And now it's been almost 11 years. And I love it because my job is to help other people. And the more people I help achieve their health goals, their wealth goals, whatever the goal is, then my goals naturally fall into place. And you meet great people like Aaron. You meet a great community of people who are positive, they're energetic, and I love that community because I want to be around positive, like-minded people. And that's one of the beauties of being part of that Isagenix family.
I love that. And that's what led me there. I mean, I remember the first time I walked in the building in 2011, and I was a skeptic, right? I didn't believe in what I was hearing. And I walked in there, and the first thing that I felt was the love. I felt the community. And so spot on with that too, man. I mean, I think that's the beginning, is if you feel like family there, you're going to feel heard, you're going to feel appreciated. And obviously that's going to reciprocate. And going back to Jim Rohn, right? Jim Rohn says, you help enough people get what they want, you're going to ultimately get what you want. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. And let me just add something too, because as an athlete, I thought I was going to get into coaching, and I did dabble. I coached high school and track and football, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. The game has really changed at the high school level, just the seriousness of it. And it wasn't as enjoyable. So I need to find something where I could coach people. And in Isagenix, we coach people. We're like coaches and mentors. And that's just exactly what I wanted to do. So it was just the perfect business model to be a part of.
Wow. And Allison also asked, what scientific validity does Isagenix have? And have you participated in testing their products? And can you vouch for real proof?
Yeah, absolutely. And the first thing I did, Allison, was the first 30 days, I tested out their product, because I felt if I don't believe in their product, if I don't trust their products, how can I be an ambassador? How can I speak with freeness of speech? And so I tested out their 30-day weight loss system because it was one of their popular systems. I followed it and I had great results. And that was the beginning of like, okay, this is something I can really stand behind. But the other thing that really impressed me, and I know you'll appreciate this, Aaron, is that, when you're a pro athlete, we weren't allowed to take products that weren't certified, that weren't tested, that weren't clean and natural with no artificial ingredients. And when I learned that Isagenix, part of their product line was Informed Sport Certified, meaning that the ingredients have been tested, there's no banned ingredients in there. So I'm thinking, if a pro athlete can take this product, or an Olympic athlete, or a college athlete, meaning they won't flunk a test, that tells me that there's a lot of credibility in the quality of these ingredients. And to me, that was really important because we were monitored as NFL players. We couldn't take those kind of products. And so that just added a lot of credibility. And I thought, yeah, I can definitely stand behind a product that has that kind of approval. And Isagenix continues to have clinical studies and peer run reviews to continue to just add to, just the credibility of our product line.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing knowing that certainty that whatever you're recommending is truth tested and is built with integrity. And that's the type of person you are, JJ. From the day that I met you, man, I just saw that, like I said, that glow of really good people. And it was just, again, the beginning of a long lasting relationship. And I appreciate you jumping on here to inspire these children, because life is hard now, right? Both of us, we've been through things and we're prepared, right, for the new age of what life has in store. And, for you, right, you've achieved greatness in the classroom. You've made it through getting into college. Now you performed at a high level on the track field. You've performed at a high level on the football field. Then now, obviously, you've did your body of work. Now you're out here speaking. You're out here writing books, right? You're an author. You're inspiring people. You're sharing your story. What would be, in closing, the biggest message that you've realized right now for that 14 to 18-year-old kid that's looking at the world right now and saying, what in the world do I do with this?
I would leave everybody with this thought. And this is the lesson I learned over the years, that the decisions you make in life, not everybody's going to understand your journey. Not everyone's going to understand the choices you make. And you know what? That's okay. The key is you have to understand your journey and you have to commit to it, because it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. What matters is what you do from day to day. And that's something we can control. So if you take that approach, the sky is the limit after that.
Wow. Well, JJ, thanks again, brother. I appreciate you, man. And with this Brave Enough to Fail series, I truly believe with the right voice and the right person and the right stories is going to continue to inspire these young ones to really be great within their own light and not have somebody else's opinion become their reality. So thanks again, JJ. I appreciate you, man. God bless you and the family. And we'll see each other real soon, man.
Yeah. Thank you too, Aaron, and keep up the good work.
Again, first down. 26 seconds to go. Long ball. Man is open. It'll go for 6. JJ Burton. Let's watch.
You can see Richard Johnson squats, and then Burton goes right by Bubba McDowell. That's totally on Bubba McDowell.
Back to throws Montana, looking to the far boundary. Pass caught by JJ Burton. Makes a man miss and goes into the end zone. Touchdown.
Joe Montana's second touchdown closed out the rout.
Play fake by Montana. Now guns it down the near sideline. He's looking for Burton. He makes the catch at the 5. Touchdown, Kansas City. JJ Burton.
3rd and 7. Back to pass Montana. Sets up. Pocket crumbling. Montana winds up. Arches a spiral down the near side. Over the shoulder catch of the 10 by JJ. Touchdown.
Another fantastic finish.
Montana takes the snap. Back in the pocket. 5-step drop. Looking for the end zone. JJ Burton. Touchdown. 9 yards deep in the end zone. And the Chiefs are within a digit.
Sack. Looked like it was about to burst. With the score 13-7 Houston, Montana. To JJ Burton. He's a beast of Burton.